Now, according to the Bengaluru chapter of Association of Consulting Civil Engineers India, over 95% constructions in Bengaluru are in violation of one kind or the other. The association says the BBMP engineers are negligent when it comes to maintenance, and hence service conducted by them are of no use. They have demanded for an Engineers Act which will keep a check on who should audit structures and give approval for constructions. The association has termed the situation dangerous and has urged the government to act immediately to rectify flaws.
Well, you will be surprised to know that over 95% of the buildings, there are violations in Bengaluru. And on the other hand, there are also several such buildings which are on the verge of collapse. Two different issues in Bengaluru, which has been understood, a report which has been prepared by the Association for Civil Engineers as well. I have with me the chairperson for the association. Many thanks for joining us. Mr. Shrikant, now firstly, if you have to address the issue of over 95% of the buildings in Bengaluru, the norms have been violated. How do you look at that?
This is not a, major puzzle or any kind of thing. It is such a normal thing that 95 to 98% of the buildings are violated. It is not a secret, and already the reports are also coming in. BBMP is also doing the same thing. But one thing you should keep it in mind, that violation and safety, both are different issues. Violated buildings can be safe also. Unviolated or the regulated buildings can be unsafe also. So as such, treat them separately. And violation is concerned, there are many actions that are being taking place, and we are also working on it. And we have formulated many suggestions to the corporation earlier also. And recently, 2 days back, we have mailed to Commissioner BBMP to give an appointment so that proper suggestions can be explained. In any act or law, there will be certain law provisions, and in the other part, there will be a penalty clauses for which violation, what penalty will be there on the other side. Whereas when they made the building bylaws, they made only the bylaws and the provisions, but the other part of the violation penalty and other things were not made. Now what we suggest to the government or the corporation is, please have certain amount of relaxation in the building bylaws with respect to your height, FAR and other things that we have already technical assessment we have done, and very shortly, as soon as they give the appointment, we are going to present it to the commissioner. Whereas the penalties are concerned, we have made an elaborate study, and now neither we can demolish nor we can bring to the law. Then what needs to be done? You keep all the buildings which are violated in a separate category as a non-regulated buildings, and take the data properly through registered engineer or registered architect or whatever it is, through annually when they are coming for paying the taxes. Once you have the data, you can start putting them under this unregulated buildings or violated buildings, and then you tax them in such a way that there will be annual increase in the tax for those buildings. And the regulated buildings, you please give further rebate and announce the regulated buildings or the bylaw abiding buildings and give them rewards or recognize them. See, this is the way which will have, like that, we give this Padma awards and so many other awards, civilian awards. What for? That is the encouragement for the people to come on the good path of this thing. Right. So this is regarding the violation is concerned.
Buildings. How do you look at these violations, considering that the BBMP is already looking at doing surveys of these buildings. There have been identified 198 buildings, they have said. They have again conducted a survey, but none of these buildings are demolished. One. Second, they still identify them as dilapidated buildings. They identify them as on the verge of collapse, but nothing has been done. What do you think is the reason? What is the causes, and what can be done?
Okay. This is another very important aspect with regards to the building is concerned. Sorry, you said that violation. Now I am going to speak about the collapses and the safety of the building, not with regards to violation.
No.
Okay. So when the collapse comes into this thing, we from Association of Consulting Civil Engineers, Bengaluru Center, took this very seriously about 4 years back. And we started going to that collapsed building site the next moment when we heard of those news or through media or anything, including that the Harvard building about 3.5 years back. So we collected all the data, including the possible mappings, then drawings, then the forensic study, what we call all the debris and other studies, the different methodology is there. With that, we studied and we reoriented how it would have been otherwise, building everything. After studying till now, recently that Kamala Nagar building collapse, about 9 collapsed buildings we have studied over a period of 3.5 to 4 years. So the main, some of the inferences or the outcome of those studies are, number one, there is hardly any involvement of a civil engineer. In the sense, this inputs from the civil engineer, like geotechnical engineer or a structural engineer or construction from a qualified contractor is totally missing. And in 1 or 2 buildings, the involvement is there, but not the civil engineer, other technically qualified person is there. And in many cases, the detailing or the reinforcement detailing, what we call, is not up to the mark. So all these things have led to the weakening of the structure, and ultimately they have collapsed. So engineers' involvement or the structural engineers' involvement is very, very important. So that was missing.
Keep it short in terms of what can the BBMP do in terms of collapsing? Now, if such buildings are identified, how do you think they should be going forward?
No, first of all, the certification methodology should be taken up very seriously. Whether the capability of surveying and giving the certification and the technical qualified people are available with the BBMP is a question actually. I don't know, because many of the people which we come across are not much qualified. There are some people, I don't say that there are nobody, but normally when the design comes or when such a special investigation comes, they will always give it to a specialized people outside the corporation or outside the government clutches. In this situation, how they can estimate, because it is a qualified structural engineer who has to give that. Okay. So normally other graduates are not going to perform such duties. If they are doing, I don't have any comments on that.
Right.
Well, time for us to slip into a